Hey guys, what is up? Mage here, doing another World of Tanks 360 review. Today, guys, we're going to be reviewing the Tier 9 American heavy tank, the M103. This is a fantastic tank. Bit of some growing pains with this tank, but I was able to get it to work in the end, and I do like the tank now after playing it long enough and getting it fully upgraded. Let's go ahead and look at the packages. Stock, this tank gets an 810 horsepower engine. You will get the T5 105mm gun that you know so well from Tier 7, 6.12 rounds a minute, 198 pen, 320 average damage, 2.29 aim time, 0.40, 0.42 accuracy. Your tracks will give you 26 degrees of traverse, and you will get a turret will give you 127 millimeters of armor from the front and side, 51 in the back, 32 traverse speed, and 370 meters of view range. I would suggest definitely saving up enough free XP so you can get to the next package, because this tank stock is annoying. The gun is what will let you down, just like it is for the T32. Very frustrating. Just try to get to this package, the T43 pre-pilot, at all costs. The upgrade here is a 120mm 122 gun, 5.26 rounds a minute, 242 pen, 400 average damage, 2.59 aim time, 0.40 accuracy, and you will get your tracks upgraded to 28 degrees per second. The gun, it is good up close. You want to use it up close to maybe slightly medium range. As long as you stick to that, this tank will work with this package, and it does just fine. It's a bit tricky when you have to make long-range shots. The final package, which is what makes this tank outstanding, 860 horsepower will be your new engine, and you will get the awesome 120mm M58, 5.36 rounds a minute, 258 pen, 400 average damage, 2.29 aim time, 0.37, 0.40 accuracy. You'll get a new turret, 127 from the front and side, 51 in the back, 32 traverse, 390 meters of view range. Another thing you don't read here on the turret is the commander's cupola, which you see right here by the machine gun, is much smaller, lower profile, and it's much harder to hit. I'm going to go ahead and switch to some gameplay, guys, because I have a bit of a long gameplay ahead. I will catch you guys here back in a moment. Okay, guys, here we are on Erlenberg Standard Battle. This was a Tier 9 match. I believe there was 2 or 3 on each team. I might have been the only one. We'll have to see here as soon as the video starts. But the M103, this is a tank that I wasn't really enjoying at first, and part of that was because of the T5 105. But once I got the first 120mm gun, the tank picked up its pace a little bit, and I started enjoying it. And it is 3 Tier 9s on each team. But I started enjoying it a little bit more, and when you get that first package, you want to play close to maybe mid-range with it. If you get any kind of long distance on people, the aim time is going to screw you more than anything. But this final package with the final 120mm gun was incredible. I absolutely started to enjoy the tank more, started getting the much better results in the game, and of course it helps, you know, when that turret, that hatch in the back, as you can see here just behind the machine gun, it helps when that hatch is a little bit lower profile. A lot more people can't pop you over a hill. It's a lot more better. I find the tank to be a lot more enjoyable. Things you need to note when you play this tank: you may want to be careful. I play this tank almost like a heavy medium, kind of like I guess you would a Jumbo Sherman medium tank, in the sense that I do make pushes, I do try and go for flanks, but I don't overdo it. And there's a reason why. With the Jumbo Sherman, you had very fragile side armor. It's sort of similar here with the M103, but it's really the side and the back turret that a lot more people will pick on over the hull. Often when I take shots at this tank, when I'm on the Op 4 against one, I will aim at the side or back turret, mostly because I'm not going to get trolled as hard with this turret as I would with, say, if I shot the side or the back hull. Well, maybe the back hull I might consider it, because I want to get an engine fire potentially, or take out the engine itself. But you know, if I got the choice shooting at the side of this turret or the side of its hull, I'm going to shoot the side turret, just because I feel like I'm not going to get trolled as much because of the tracks eating the shot or something like that. But be careful when you overdo your pushes. People will take shots at the side and back turret. Something to note: the gun mantle is pretty darn good. You will get bounces with it. Just beware when you pop up to take shots at people. People will try to aim for the cheeks on this tank outside of the gun mantlet. It is doable. I've been able to pen the cheeks on this tank on more than one occasion on other M103s, so it is possible. And you'll see here, this is the aim time and the accuracy of the gun. The gun is only 1 degree off from being just as accurate as the M68 105. That's the domesticated version of the L7 used on the M48 patent. It's only 1 degree off from being as accurate as that gun. So with all things considered, this 120mm gun is incredibly good compared to the T5 105, and is a huge upgrade over that 120 you get for the pre T43 package you get on this tank. I'm kind of cautious moving up here on this T32 because I'm just being aware of my surroundings. I don't want people to hit me in the side or the back of the turret because it is a vulnerable spot. People will aim for it. And I'll make a goofy shot here and actually bounce off the T32. Crap angle on my part, and I really run up on the house here, and that was just on me. I got no excuse. Equipment. I ran coated optics just so I can have some kind of spotting ability with this tank. It's worked for me so far, and it helps. I do run the large caliber gun rammer. I think that's a must, and of course vents. But you could certainly get away with running a vertical stabilizer. If I had to do it over again, I probably would run a stabilizer over the coated optics, considering how I play this tank. Something to talk about with this tank. I feel like, while this is an incredibly good tank, and I'm leaning toward keeping this tank, and you see here that's some of the great alpha damage. The 120, you get more reliable damage rolls out of it than you would, say, you know, the 105 used on the M46 patent, where, yeah, it's only 10 average damage more than the than a lot of the 105 mediums at Tier 9, but you're gonna get consistent, much more consistent and reliable rolls when you pull the trigger on this tank than you would with, say, a M46 or an E50, for example. So, I mean, this is a pretty reliable gun. You know, when you pull the trigger, you're getting no less than maybe 360. No less. You know, that's the lowest I think I've ever seen it roll for. And of course, you know, you can always look forward to 400 and higher average damage, but very reliable gun. I find it to be enjoyable. You'll see me put a hit here on this Rheinmetall Borsig. Messed him up pretty good. Something to talk about, something I forgot to mention in the walkthrough. There is one glaring issue with this tank, aside its weak spots, which I might add. Your lower glacis, you might want to be careful with it. You don't want to overexpose it. Your upper glacis is more than bouncy enough. Just try and be careful exposing the lower glacis and the side and back of your turret. But let's go ahead and talk about something I forgot to mention in the walkthrough. And that is something that I think definitely affects this tank. And it has bit this tank, but what I'm talking about is power creep. Power creep has been where you'll get newer tanks, and in the case of other games, like you might get new guns and stuff, and you know those newer guns are going to outperform, in some cases, even surpass the current guns you get in the game. In the case of here in World of Tanks, we've gotten newer tanks. You know, back when it was just the M103 and the E75 at Tier 9, this was an incredibly good tank. I mean, this was the DPM of the heavy tanks at Tier 9. Sometime a little bit before the game released, we had the British heavies get added into the game, and then we got the Conqueror at Tier 9, and the Conqueror surpassed this tank as the main DPM heavy tank. You know, it had a faster firing 120, had way better aim time and gun handling. And then, of course, we ended up later with the IS-8, which took away some of the speed this tank had, even over the Conqueror. This tank, while, you know, power creep has sort of affected it, I still don't think this tank has lost its grip at Tier 9 that, say, maybe an M48 patent has lost because of power creep. I mean, because of power creep, I feel like the M48, it's just outclassed by the other tanks. Not that it's a bad tank, it's just outclassed because every other tank has something they're really good at, and they're good enough in everything else. M103, I mean, like I said, power creep has hit it, but I don't think it's hit this tank as hard, and I think it's still a pretty darn good, tough tank to use. This tank is still a little bit quicker. It does have better power to weight ratio than the Conqueror, and unlike the IS-8, maybe it's not as fast as the IS-8, but it has way more gun depression, and it also has a little bit more gun depression than the Conqueror. I think it beats it out by 1 more degree of gun depression. And the gun, while like it's not as good as the 120 used on the Conqueror, it's still got a higher DPM. Well, I take that back. I don't know about the DPM, but I know it's got a higher rate of fire than the IS-8. So, I mean, this tank can wear IS-8s and E75s out on corners. Just don't expect to beat out Conquerors. I mean, this is the jack of all trades, master of none kind of heavy tank at tier 9. It does good enough in every other area. Alright, so backing off here, I made a questionable call here trying to kill that M103, and my thought process was, you know, if I can kill this guy, you know, we were taking away another one of their tier 9 heavy tanks, and now we're going to make it a 11-7 game, which usually will put the game right into our hands. So I go around this corner, and I'm hunting down the M46 Patton that I know is on their team, and I do put a shot in him. I mean, this is what this tank does. It's basically a heavy medium. It's not incredibly fast compared to the other mediums at tier 9, but it's quick enough, and usually this tank is a good hill warrior. It's a hill fighter at tier 9. Very good, well-mannered tank. I think it is, you know, I don't know if if I ever go up another heavy tank line, I don't know if I will keep this tank, because I have looked at the numbers at the Conqueror, and I really don't know how much better that tank would be. But this tank does still have its niche role that it's pretty good at. It is the effective, heavy tank, usually that can get around to exploiting a breakthrough with the medium tanks. The Conqueror, it just lags behind this thing. It doesn't have the power to weight ratio. It has the DPM, and unlike the Conqueror, this tank is a little bit more well armored than the Conqueror in certain areas. I know for a fact the Lord Glacius on this tank is far more reliable than the Conqueror. So I mean, there is some compromises and there's some give and take with this tank, but it's incredibly good. I am leaning toward keeping it, but I really don't know how much of an upgrade or how much better this tank could be compared to a Conqueror. I think the Conqueror does have some things on this tank. Still a good tank. I recommend it. E75 here kills me to get an easy kill, but whatever. His ass is done. Anyways, guys, this gameplay's coming to an end. I will catch you guys later. Peace out. Can't give an ETA on when I'll have the T110E5. I haven't even researched it yet, but hopefully I'll have it shortly. Catch you guys later. Peace out.